from South Africa, which is quite an interesting country right now. We have currently what we call load shedding. That is, I wonder if Tsepi's actually experienced this, or that's the reason why she ran away. But it's where we don't have electricity for some hours. And yeah, in about 15 minutes, I will also not have power where I am. And it's going to be like that for about 2 hours. So yeah, that's quite a hurdle. But anyway, it's a special country. And I'm excited that you guys are in here today. And I hope to share with you what I know and what I've learned during my time at Quantic. So yeah, let's start with my journey through Quantic. Well, let me just share with you a little bit about me. I didn't start off as a business person at all. I didn't study business in high school. I didn't do any economics or accounting in high school. I went to university and I did medicine, imagine. So I was just on the far end. Never thought I would be in business or do anything business. Then I got bored with medicine. Yeah, I really got bored. It was quite lame. I just found it boring to go to school and be told what to do. I hated that. I remember in my second year and we were examining patients and they will sort of say, you have to put your hand this way on a person's body and you have to percuss it this way. And that was sort of irritating for me. I felt like, wait, am I just gonna be here to literally follow instruction throughout my work? It's what am I gonna find out? Is there anything special that I'm gonna find out, or I'm just gonna be that person who replicates what other people have already learned before? So that's what drove my heart away from medicine. On my third year, fourth year, I switched from medicine. I didn't know what to study then. So I enrolled to speech language pathology. And yeah, that's also in health, but it's quite an interesting thing about communication sciences. And I did that and I finished that. And obviously, when I was done and started working, I realized that I have passion for something else, and that is more in education. And that's where my company works the most right now. So when I go to Quantic, it was in my attempt to learn more business stuff. I had gone through a number of short courses and to understand business, and I thought I wanted some rich information because I felt like there was something that I didn't know. So I got to Quantic, and my goodness, I realized the business was way deeper than I thought. And at first, I thought it was quite an easy thing to do. I mean, you get accepted to Quantic, you're excited, then you take the shortcut. The first course is like, okay, well, this seems too easy, and you're just moving through the courses, and then you get to accounting, and third week, fourth week, you're like, what was I thinking? So it was quite an incredible thing to experience, but I pushed my way through because I just love to learn and I just found the stuff interesting. And then, that's how I got into more learning and enjoyed the rest of the course. I think few things were tough, but the rest of the stuff was sort of okay because I already had a business in mind. I enjoyed strategy a lot. I enjoyed marketing a lot. I enjoyed economics a lot. Data, it was fun at some point, but it was nerve-wracking at some, because now I really had to go back to numbers and stuff. But anyway, did my midterm exams. It was quite a shocker because I was like, wait, these people are really serious about examining us and making sure we don't really pass. So I really put in as much effort as I could, managed to pass, and then the group works and all of that. But some of the stuff I'll share as I go through what I want to share today, how to actually succeed at Quantic. But I'm glad I succeeded. The grade was fun, but I remember on the day of grad, we had a session, group meet. And one of the guys from the US was saying that he, like me, did medicine before he went into business. And he was saying that even though this was his second master's, this was by far the hardest program that has ever been. And the thing is that with Quantic distance learning, it says it's distance learning, but you actually have to be on the job throughout. You don't have that much free time to just do nothing. You actually have to do everything. They don't let you not do coursework and just say, well, you know it, you're just gonna get examined. So yeah, I think that was the challenge. But anyway, if I get deep into what we're gonna share today, I thought I should share this thing. 4 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, I attended a leadership conference or leadership summit in Johannesburg, Centon, and it was presented by a young company, Super Lead. It's run by the former leader or head of an insurance company in South Africa called Dial Direct, a gentleman called Manda Chiflaro. And so they had the Vice Chancellor of UCT, University of Cape Town, as one of the speakers. And this is what she said. She said, you know what, every world's leader upon election into political office is asked the question, what is your plan for Africa? From the United States to the United Kingdom, Russia to China, the leaders are asked, what is your plan for Africa? And what is interesting is that this question is not asked an African leader in any African country when they assume office. And I'm just starting with this thought or with this quote in that we are here as leaders from Africa, and we are supposed to learn business and qualify and do business together and all of that. And hardly are we asking each other, but what is your plan for your continent? Not your plan for yourself, not a plan for your family, not a plan on how much money your business wants to make, but what is your plan for Africa? And today I just want to take that question and throw it to you leaders, because I'm seeing you guys leaders. And I want to say, what is your plan for Africa? As you study and hope to add more titles to your name, but what is your plan for Africa? What is that thing that you think, I want to do this for Africa as a leader, as one privileged person who gets to learn from an institution that's abroad and with so much invested knowledge and experience and all these opportunities to network amongst one another. The question is, what is our plan for Africa? Now, Quantic success. How do we succeed in Quantic? Well, I think when I was preparing, I had a tough time because I first asked myself the question, but what would it mean to succeed in Quantic? Because to some person, it might mean to get the MBA or the EMBA and like, yeah, I got it. Well, that's success as well. And to someone, it might mean to learn skills that they'll be able to advance their business, personal business that they're running or their startup, and be able to grow or to scale up if need be. And to someone, success in Quantic might mean just networking with new people and being able to build alliances and future strategic partners to grow in business or in their interest, for example. I mean, for you guys who are on Quantic now, you've realized that there's so many opportunities, industry meetups that are there, where you get to meet industry leaders and you get to learn from them. So what is the Quantic success? And I thought, as I'm going to speak tonight, I want to really share a lot on things that will touch on the different aspects of succeeding at Quantic, that we don't just look at it only from one standpoint, which is what I'm going to start with, and that is the academic success, getting your qualification. Well, get your qualification, you just have to do the basics, which is what you've done with all the other qualifications you've already achieved so far. And that is, you've got to manage your coursework successfully. And there are a few things. I think one of the first things about Quantic is they teach and they allow you to learn by yourself at your own pace. You've got to try to get the most out of it. There's this thing that one man defined when he was talking about management. He said, management is like economization. It is sort of taking or making the most from what you have. And so if we're going to say we're going to succeed at learning or managing our coursework, I want to challenge you to say, can you learn as much as possible from the coursework that is available? If you're on strategy, instead of just focusing on getting the right stuff in order to pass the test and get above 80 and then be able to move on and tick it as marked complete, How about you actually invest your time and your energy to get the most from it? So that at the completion of the entire program, you're not just a person who passed test or series of tests, but you're a person who got the maximum from the coursework that you had or you were given. So get the most from it. Get the most from the coursework. Engage with the coursework. Ask questions. Go deeper into the subjects. Try to apply it in your own personal space, in your own personal business. Just make sure that this coursework leaves the paper or leaves the screen to become a reality in where you work. Number two, keep up with the pace. Well, when it starts, for those of you who are still in the beginning, when the coursework starts, it seems quite easy and it seems like it's easy to keep up with the pace. But with our work and your own different involvement in whatever you're doing, you'll realize that you're gonna need, it's not easy to keep up with the pace or with the level of work. At some point, you think this group of lessons is gonna take maybe a week or two. And you find that, well, in 3 days time, it's done and you have not even started. And it's difficult to catch up once you miss up on that, because with Quantic, unlike other places, you cannot choose to skip a course. You cannot choose to skip a lesson and say, I won't do it. Everything is needed. So keep up with the pace. I understand you're all in business, you're all working, you're all busy with something, other family or whatever you do, you're busy with. If you gotta succeed well academically, just keep up with the pace. Keep doing what you're supposed to do all the time. Don't even let it slide. I remember personally myself, there was a point where I got very busy with my business and I had to be speaking every second day, traveling from one place to another, and I was flying and all of that. And when you're traveling like that, you tend to like, okay, I'll do the coursework when I come back. I'll do the coursework when I get free time. And well, in just a matter of 3 weeks, I lost so much that when I got back, there was an assignment that needed to be done. And that assignment needed the knowledge from some of the course that I had left behind. So it's so difficult to catch up because it doesn't stop. Quantic, when they say it's from week 1 in April to the last week in March of the next year, it's actually that. It's every week, unless they give you a break week. So really got to keep up with the pace at work. Number 3, take your tests seriously. Sorry. What I mean when I say take them seriously is that, I mean, we all know you can pass, and if you don't get the 80, you get to repeat it and do it over. And if you remember where you got it wrong, you can sort of swing it and go back again, and or rather wing it and go back again and redo it quickly, immediately, and get the questions right and pass, get your 80% and move on. But the thing is that when you do that, you're missing out on the opportunities to learn and to the things that you have missed out on that you were supposed to learn. So take the test seriously. It will actually make it easy for you when you get to the midterms and the finals, because you actually know the work. If you don't take the test seriously and you just sort of wing it, get your 80s and 82s and all of that, well, when it comes to the exams, it's going to be really tough because now you have to sort of be redoing everything once again. And it's tough because it's a lot of work with little time. So take the tests seriously. Really, really take them seriously. Get those hundreds. Remember, they add up to your final mark. And you don't want to, like Chike, just before November, before you write your final exams, you're busy trying to catch up with all the tests just so to get the highest grade at that, to move so that you can try up your chances for getting an honors. You don't want to do that. Just take them seriously now when you have the time. And when necessary, redo the lessons. When necessary, redo the lessons. I know the feeling when you're behind with work, you just want to keep it moving and say, no, I'll come back and do the lessons another time or redo this test. But well, we all know if you procrastinate the work and say you'll do it some other time, you're most likely not to come back and do it in a way that is appropriate. So I'm going to challenge you. When necessary, please redo the lessons. Go back on them, redo the stuff, relearn the stuff, understand the concept, ask the questions, follow the scenarios. I mean, especially for those of you who have never done accounting, probably like me, you want to make sure that you get the stuff right. You really understand the difference between your credits and the debits and the balance sheets and the cash books and all of that. You really want to make sure you understand those stuff, all those Excel activities, you want to know them, but you can't miss the test or just redo the test and man, you want to make sure that you pass it without redoing the lessons. You'll actually miss out on what you could learn. And lastly, attend the coursework live specials. There's this thing that they do where they always say, no, there's a special lecture to come and teach on strategy or to explain what's happening with the balance sheet or to explain the confusion around the future value calculations and all of that. So really, really, really make sure you attend those things if you can. They are so helpful because you get to interact with this lecture and find out things, and you realize that you're not the only one who's struggling. But sometimes you're actually way better than what you thought because you're interacting with other students. And if you have anxieties, you tend to become way calmer after that because you're now seeing where other people are and where your challenges are and all of that. And ask questions when you're attending these live specials. Just participate as much as possible. Make time for it. If you don't make time for it and you're struggling with something, it will be very difficult for you to get it because the way they do things at Quantic, it's not necessarily exactly the same as they do it everywhere else. It's not like you can just be like, oh, well, I'll find a book somewhere else and understand it. No, get it there, do it, ask the questions live and all of that. You always get help. I was one of the people that will try to attend these live sessions. I remember at some point, I actually attended a whole office hour lecture alone. It was just me and the lecturer. And it was quite an interesting thing, but I benefited one with the coursework. But secondly, the second thing I benefited was the network opportunity because it was just me and the lecturer. And now we got to talk. We both had the same passion when it comes to education. And I was struggling with some leadership issue in one of my training staff, and he was advising me. So it became more personal, and I took advantage of that. So that's one thing that I advise, and you would get as an advantage when you attend these live specials that they provide. And then we come to assignments. And yeah, well, the stuff that they allow the makers do in groups and as individuals. Well, when you can do it as an individual and you're smart enough, well, I think you could be fine. But if you're given an opportunity to do it with a group, please do it. But yeah, some tips that I've learned with assignments. One, get acquainted with the work or with an assignment as soon as possible, as soon as they release it. Let's say, for example, you've got an assignment on strategy, right? And it's out and it's due, and now it's June, it's due maybe in August, third week of August. It's so easy to sort of like, okay, it's out, I don't have to look at it. I'll look at it just around hand in time if it's an individual project. But here's the thing, usually the assignments at Quantic, unless they've changed, they're really dense. They want you to really think and apply yourself into the case scenario, understand what's happening, and have wide knowledge of the stuff rather than just knowing the bare minimum. And sometimes they will demand you to have to go back to your lessons to remind you or to do a refresher on a subject. So as soon as the assignment is out, get acquainted with it. You don't have to study it, but at least get acquainted with it. Know, okay, this is what they require. They'll need me to do a presentation. I need to know this and this. I need to understand how strategy works in this level. I need to understand acquisitions or alliances and all of that. If I need to understand that, then you sort of have it at the back of your mind. Your mind can sort of plan around. If you don't do that, you're putting yourself up for failure because the time you do it might be too late for you to put in the work. And assignments count quite a lot on the weight to getting your honors. And if you don't do well, these guys, when they mark, I mean, for those of you who have been marked already, you realize that they mark things on a very personal level. It's not like they do bulk marking. No, you get few people, a person who's just marking your paper. And therefore, they're gonna really assess your analytic skills and what you've invested in the paper to understand what you did. So get acquainted with the work so that you can present something that is solid and that is of good quality. Secondly, be smart about group work. When I say be smart, I'm referring to the following. One, be smart about the choice of teammates. I know the temptation sometimes is choose people that you feel a little bit comfortable with or familiar with. I remember with me at the first few assignments, I was just choosing African people. I'm like, yeah, I want my people. my home people, you know, they are the ones who will understand each other and will struggle together and all of that. But well, yeah, when you do that, you end up missing out on an opportunity to network with people from different places and to get to witness people from different experiences and cultures and all of that, and who could have a wealth of knowledge. So be smart about group work. I think the most important thing that you need to look into is the issue of time zones, because that makes it very easy when you're choosing a group, when you're going to be doing group work. If you choose team members who are in the same time zone, it's way much better. If the time zones are so different by about 6 hours plus, whew, my goodness, yeah, it can be a mess. It can be a serious mess. You don't want to be working and someone is sleeping and all of that. So be smart about the type of people you choose to be in your group work. But yeah, just choose differently. If this assignment you have all African, next assignment, just choose different people, man. Get some people from Indonesia, Hong Kong, and all of that. You know, just experience and get a rich experience of your Quantic period, man. So be smart about group work. Also with group work, yeah, you've got to make sure that everyone carries their load. There are a lot of people who sort of can get used to just passing by because someone is doing the work, and it backfires on you when the results come back and you got a 60% when you put in so much work and the other person is fine with it. So really make sure that the people in group work are really putting in the work. And number 3, in assignments, invest in the work, like thoroughly, like really invest in your work, because they mark assignments very strict, like they mark them very strict. There are no free marks there. So invest in the work, especially if you're targeting an honors pass. I mean, if you just want to pass, well, it's fine. You can just get through it, but invest in the work thoroughly, understand the concepts. If it's accounting, get into those numbers, understand how things are done. Don't make the mistakes, do the Excel stuff properly and all of that. Invest in the work. Lastly, on assignment, set the early submission target. So let's say, for example, it's due on the 30th. Make sure that in your group work, your submission target is the 20th. Give yourself 10-day room, because not every target always works out right. People get sick, people get ill, people get caught up in other businesses. People get the family members into other issues, their businesses and all of that. So if you have an early target, early submission target, it allows you guys to work early and to accomplish the work that you need to do early. So yeah, just the typical group stuff. Obviously, setting the contract early helps, but yeah, set your early submission targets and submit your stuff on time, especially with work that's going to require you to do a video thing. I remember we had to do a video thing when we were doing a marketing project, and man, one of us was in Indonesia, the other guy was in Guyana, and imagine having to submit different videos from all these places, different time zones, and yeah, it was just a mess because it was late. Where we left it till late. So just set your early submission target and do the work. Let me try to be quick. Midterms and finals. Well, yeah, for those who've done midterms, well done. If you passed, yeah, for me, midterms were a shocker, but just study. Yeah, study. When they say that 48 hours to finish an exam, yeah, at some point it feels like an exaggeration, and they'll tell you that it will take about 4 hours to finish the whole exam. Yeah, it will do that if it's easy, but it's tough. I'm not gonna lie to you. If you have not done exams, it's tough. It's gonna need you to know your stuff, especially if you want to pass. I mean, if you don't want to pass that well, it's not that tough because you can just choose any answer. But if you really want to pass well, it's tough, and you've got to apply yourself. So really make sure you do your printouts of your lessons, those documents that they give you at the end of every lesson and all of that, and do a proper revision, prep yourself so that you do the exams properly. If you don't do that, you might regret it while you're in the middle of the exam. You might just be like, oh boy, this is just too hard for me. And yeah, it can be very frustrating, and the 48 hours can really seem very short. So if you want to enjoy it, prepare early and give your time a week of just preparing for exams thoroughly, and every department, accounting, finance separately, and understand it, and then you go on to the exams. And then, yeah, you will do well. I trust you will do well. Then there's this thing called elective learning. Elective learning is when they give you this extra course that are not required per se for you to pass. So they usually do that a lot in finance and accounting and strategy, where they just say, and data as well as stats, where they just say, you know what, yeah, you've done the course, but there are other courses in case you want to understand more stuff about accounting or you want to do more practice. Please, if you have time, take advantage of those things. You will really understand some concepts better. I got to understand strategy way better by the elective learning, not by the main coursework. So really, really take advantage of that where you can. Do them, expand your knowledge. And yeah, I'm telling you, you'll realize that you know much more, you understand things more in depth, and you'll be able to apply it more in your line of work. Like I said, you've got to be willing to add some extra effort onto the ordinary if you hope to rank amongst the extraordinary. So if we want to be extraordinary in our line of work or in our delivery or in our results, then do some extra learning, which also means elective learnings. I'm still doing. I mean, before this call, I was busy with another strategy course. I mean, I'm done with my stuff, but I just went to Quantic and be like, well, let me just do some strategy. And it's quite fun to do now when you don't have to do it. But yeah, do that. Also, so yeah, that's my academic success. There's this part that I said I want to talk about as well. That's professional success at Quantic, like what you can do. One, network. Really take advantage of the network opportunities that Quantic provides for you. Like take advantage. Know people. Add them on, connect with them on LinkedIn. Text them, communicate. Man, it's amazing. There's so many rich souls out here and that are awesome and kind and can be business partners to you and all of that. So really, really network. Slack, yeah, it's quite, if you have not been using Slack before you join Quantic, yeah, it can be quite drag and boring and stuff. But please, where you get groups and all of that, and you have these meetups, really take advantage of that and network with people. Maximize teamwork learning. Yeah. So that's when you're working with teams. Don't just focus on the activities. Also get to know the people that you're working in the team with. And yeah, you'll find yourself having friends from different sides of the world. And some of them could be suppliers to your business and all of that. So really maximize the teamwork learning. Get to participate in discussions, webinars, and meetups. Really, really attend them. These meetups, I know, I mean, we've got a lot of industry meetups, and sometimes at first you want to attend all of them, but you realize that, wait, it goes with another street. And there are also those meetups where they just speak a whole different language. I mean, you get meetups where it's just speaking Arabic. Everything is in Arabic. And if you're not fluent in Arabic, well, I wouldn't advise for you to join that, but find the industry meetups that are really going to work for you and take advantage of that. Really take advantage of that. And lastly, as part of a professional success journey, take advantage of adding or updating your resume on the Quantic Career tab. Sometimes we look at it only towards the end of for qualification, but even now, just go to the career part, upload your stuff, update your stuff, so that if you're looking for a job or in some form of employment, you might find opportunities there. The Zip recruitment thing that they have there is quite good, and they're really good at matching potential employers to you. So yeah, take advantage of that. In conclusion, because I've been talking for long, what you do every day matters much more than what you do once in a while. That makes more sense when it comes to Quantic. You gotta do it every day. Just find that 30 minutes, find that hour to just push the coursework. You don't, I mean, there's some things you can't rush through. You're not gonna rush through finance and 2 days and expect to be fine. Yeah, so you gotta do it every day. Do every day, and you'll be able to succeed at Quantic. Lastly, from a distance, it may look like a test of genius. And what I mean by that is studying at Quantic, it may look like a test of genius. But in fact, it is a test of discipline, of grit and attitude. If you can focus, you're willing to push through the difficulties and the tough subjects, and you've got the right attitude, well, in just 3 months' time, you'll be having or flooding LinkedIn with your post on that you graduated from Quantic, and we'll be celebrating with you. So yeah, all the best. And please feel free to ask any question about Quantic. Thank you from me. Thank you, Chike.
All right, thank you so much, Amazement. That was awesome. You really gave some really great jewels. I see a couple of claps coming in for you now. But yeah, we actually do have a couple of questions already coming in. And anybody, since it's, you know, it's not tons of us on here, I would just say, yeah, you can just raise your hand or just take an opportunity to speak when it's quiet. But I think there's a question here from Evelyn. Does Quantic Careers work for those of us who stay in Africa? If you want to answer that, Amazement, if you can answer that.
Yeah, I can. I mean, look, it always depends on whether you want to work abroad or you want to work remotely or from home. I mean, obviously, Quantic Careers, most of the companies are in the US. So yeah, you've got to be willing to sort of work from that side. But the nice thing about it is that there are a lot, and I mean a lot, especially now after COVID, a lot of remote opportunities. We're usually doing the work from home. So yeah, you can always get career opportunities from that side.
So anybody else, any questions? I actually have a couple, but I want some other folks to answer first. I'm not done yet either, so.
I mean, you're done, Chike.
Almost. Oh, okay, I'll ask a question. So I spoke to another alumni during a different event, and this is about the capstone project. How important do you think it is to do to work in a group for your capstone project? Because the capstone project I want to do, I'm actually trying to get it started. Like, it's not just a school project for me. I actually want to do like a real business, you know. So that's something I'm trying to get started now. And you know, I was trying to find people, kind of like what you did. I went out and contacted. It's like an African ed tech idea, educational technology idea. So I contacted 1 or 2 people from Africa, just from the, you know, the network. You know, nothing has really worked out yet, but somebody else, another alumni, said that if I want to really do the project in the world, then, you know, I shouldn't overly concern myself with doing it in a group project. I can do it on my own. But then Quantic recommends doing it as a group project. So what's your experience with the capstone?
Well, I think, right, it always depends on what kind of project and your skill set with that. For example, with EdTech, for you, I love education, by the way. So when you do anything that's education, I get excited. But with EdTech, for example, if you're not like a tech person, but you know exactly what you want the app to do or the platform to do, then it's best to collaborate with other people. Right. But if you have the skill set of what you want to do, then I would advise it, learn from what you can from other people, but take advantage of doing for yourself. This is because, especially if you're doing something that is for Africans, it's very difficult for someone else to really understand the African context who has never been in Africa. It's very different because to them, they have very skewed views of what Africa is. Right. Some, they just think we're just some Bundus who no civilization at all. And so their understanding of solving problems for Africans is very different. But if really it's something that you need skill set from other people, take advantage from that. But if something that you want to build for yourself that you really care, I would say go for it by yourself. You can always get help along the way. Go for it for yourself. So that remember, when you're carrying something and it's your vision and it's your brainchild, you sweat for it. You'll work hard with it. You even when you go through some challenges, they won't scare you away. But if it's not my brainchild, well, I can easily be like, yeah, this is too hard. Chike, I don't think I'm willing to meet to discuss this thing. So now you'll be delayed because you're waiting for Amazement to avail himself for a meeting. Well, you actually know what to do. So yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Startups, it's better when you're alone at first. So, just go ahead and meet someone along the way who can understand your project better.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you so much. Anybody else? The floor is open for questions for Amazement.
Yeah. Someone say my name is also awesome. What a comment. My goodness.
Anybody else? Questions for Amazement? How you can succeed at Quantic?
I don't have a question, but it's more of a comment, and thank you for sharing your experiences. Because I mean, like you, when I first started, so I'm graduating 1st of July 2023. And when I first started, I took a lot of things for granted. I was like, oh, this is like, I can do it on my phone, anywhere, anytime. And until I got to accounting, and I was like, okay, this is real stuff, right? So I like what you said about just one, not taking it for granted, but being very consistent and continuously working and not leaving things too late, because I did get into that mindset that I would be able to just wing it, and it's definitely not like that. So thanks for sharing your experiences. It really has reinforced that I need to work.
Yeah, I think that's the painful part about Quantic. It sounds easy, but it's difficult. It needs you to put in the work daily. I mean, I think I remember studying this other masters. You could literally skip learning other stuff and go through to the final exam and prepare and be able to pass. But with Quantic, they actually want you to do every lesson, every course, which what makes it very difficult, because you really have to apply your mind and you can't easily wing it. It's so everyone really put in your efforts regularly, as busy as you are. I mean, I did that when my business was sort of, how can I say it, growing, and I was increasing clientele, and I was working a full-time job at the same time and helping out at church and all of that. Imagine just doing all of these things all at once, studying at the same time. So it was quite a challenge, but doing it every day is what helps. It's what helps. So much that even now when I've graduated, I got bored the first month. I'm like, wait, what am I supposed to do? I've got this free time. I don't know what to do. My days were booked up for Quantic. Thanks a lot, Tipiso, for saying that.
Actually, maybe a question. So one of the things people ask, because Quantic is quite new, the model is new, right? So, and I know, like, coming from South Africa, I know that, you have names that people tend to give more respect to. Gibbs. I'm a UCT alum, so so how do you find that when you tell people that you got your MBA through Quantic, how responsive or receptive are they?
Well, the first thing I got was typical.
Hold on, sorry, 1 second. Leonard, is he there? I'm just want to encourage everybody to mute your mic. Thank you. When other people are talking. All right, thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, Chike. Yes, I'm also a UCT alumni, and in South Africa they've got this thing of university elitism, where sort of like there are people who feel like their colleges are better than others and all of that. So when with Quantic, it's quite, you tell people like, wait, I'm doing Quantic, like, what is that? Is it even real? Wait, is it even accredited? And, who do you think you are? I mean, dude, go to Henley, go to VETS, go to the graduates, the GSB, go to, the University of Pretoria Business School thing. Gibbs, the popular one. And for me, I wanted something that works for me. And so I said to them, you know what, let's just go with it and see. And as I went through, I remember it was me and few friends of mine who were studying at Gibbs. And few months down the line, and we were talking about what they do and what I do and what they're learning. And when I told them the level of work I'm putting in, they were quite impressed and were shocked. Like, wait, you are doing this much, and how are you even coping? There's so much that even when I finished, they were actually interested to even attend. Some of them actually wanted to attend the grad with me, just to have an experience and to realize our reality. So yeah, it is that challenge. But the nice thing is that companies do recognize it now. At least Quantic is becoming more popular. You still work with institutions where you have a number of Quantic alumni around here and who are working there, or at least for some of the global companies like Ernst & Young and McKinsey's and stuff, they will be telling you that, well, yeah, we may not have a lot of people in South Africa from Quantic, but we've got a lot of people from Quantic from other places. And so that's quite encouraging. But yeah, I know it can be quite daunting when you're from South Africa with all these elitist ideologies about which institutions are better. So yeah, especially UCT, you guys, my goodness.
It is the best though.
I knew it. So yeah. Oh, Chike, by the way, yeah, UCT is this university that's top in Africa. They like making things very hard.
You say UCT?
Sort of like, yeah, University of Cape Town.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, they don't want you to pass. So when you pass, you actually feel like, oh, I'm really smart. And the pass rate is really low and all of that. Yeah, but it was quite an experience. But yeah, I think that's why I wanted to learn with something that is different, because I did my first master's there and my undergrad there. So it can be addictive to think like that.
I have two more questions. The last one I'll wait on it. But how important, Quantic has the like the meetups like in Washington DC or Dubai or all those different like in-person big groups. How important do you think it is to go to one of those, or did you go to any of them when
the in-person one? Well, during my time, COVID was still really high. Omicron and all of that, so it was quite difficult to attend the in-person ones. I always wished we had an African one, and we sort of had an Africa meetup, an online one. I got to meet a few guys from Africa who were studying with Quantic. I think there was a guy from Botswana, one in Cape Town in South Africa, and a few guys were from, I think one from Cote d'Ivoire, and few from Nigeria and Ghana and so on. But I'd wished we had a physical one, but at that time, it was quite impossible to even consider having a physical meetup. But I'll recommend people, regional meetups, they're really cool. If you're in an environment where you know that meeting this person would help, or at least meeting people from around this area would really help. I got a few friends from Cote d'Ivoire. I had a friend of mine from Cote d'Ivoire. We actually even came to South Africa for a meetup after that. So it was quite nice. So yeah,
that's a project I'd like to see happen through African Quantic Pan-African Alliance. See if we can arrange one in Africa. So more questions for Amazement.
Yeah, I think that was answered already. Oh, how many hours per day? Well, I think it depends with how you work or how you understand concepts. For me, I've been doing a lot of online learning before Quantic. And so my brain is sort of used to picking up information very quickly without reading a physical book. And so 2 hours for me, I would go through so much more than usually what a typical person would go through in that period. So go with your pace. And with what works for you. If I say 3 hours, it could be well for me, but it might be too little for you. If I say 6 hours, could be perfect for me, but maybe too much for you with your circumstance and your family situation and your work, life balance and all of that. But look at how much you're able to complete. If at least you're able to say, you know what, by the end of the week, I'm done with all my works course and my week's coursework, then that's good. Just do that. I got to a point where I said, you know what, I'll just have 3 days every week to make sure that I maximize my energy on Quantic stuff. And before Sunday, I'm done with all the works, the work that was needed for that week. And I just needed to keep up with the pace. And that helped me a lot. So, but if I can tell you specific hours, well, yeah, we don't learn the same. We really don't learn the same. So yeah, I hope that makes sense, Evelyn. See, Zachary has his hand lifted up. Oh, they said, did you buy the lesson summary book sold by Quantic? Well, I didn't buy it. I made my own. I literally just printed out the entire set and yeah, made it a bundle. And yeah, and that was helpful because when you're preparing for exams, you want to be highlighting the stuff and having the whole stuff bundled up together according to the module. So that's what I did with me. It made it easy for me for exam preparation and for referencing even during exams. But I mean, if you're lazy to do the printouts, you can always make a purchase. I mean, it's few tens of US dollars, but people are different.
Zachary, you have a question?
Oh yes. Sorry, I've been on transit. I just got back home.
Your mic is low. It's hard to hear you.
Okay. How about now?
Okay, it's good. It's good.
Okay. First of all, I want to appreciate Amazement for this wonderful presentation. Honestly, kudos to you. My question is, what does it take to graduate with honors in Quantic? That's one. And secondly, if one misses an exam, you have an opportunity for you to retake it, or you obviously score 0. That's the question. Thank you.
Okay. First one. What does it take to get the honors? Well, yeah, I'll say it's hard because I didn't get it, and and yeah, I tried with my exams. I got a 92 on my final exams. So yeah, I really pushed hard for that. And I think because yeah, there was a time that I think I had 2 group projects that didn't go very well. And I suspected that that's probably why I didn't get the honors. But here's the thing about Quantic honors. They say that the honors is when you belong at the upper, I think 10%, if not 5% of that cohort. So you may find that what it takes for one group to get to honors may not be the same thing for the next group because of the level of competition that is there. So yeah, there are groups which are really competitive and putting all the work, and that gets to do much better. And there are those which may not be as competitive. But I mean, remember with Quantic, you can redo the tests to push up your grades. So if you don't redo your tests and you just get your normal 86, 87, 94, and you let it go like that, I'm sure there's someone who's trying to get 100% in every little test. And so, I mean, that kind of obsession, well, can sort of get you an honors, I believe, if you're putting that level of work. But if you sort of let some stuff slide, yeah, it might be difficult for you to get an honors. And remember, you have a card which is from a wide range of places and a wide cohort, which is a lot of people, 200 plus, 300 plus, and really, really people are committed and putting in the work. And some people have been doing accountings and finance and all of this way before you. So to them, it's just a walk over the park. So yeah, just think around that and put in the effort as much as you do. I was happy at the end of the day. I mean, I was a little bit disappointed that I didn't get honors, but I was happy that I was able to get a 92 for my finals. I was really, really, really happy. And for my midterms, yeah, they were shocking. They were incredibly hard. I got an 88, but because they were incredibly hard. And it was a shocker for me because I thought they were going to be easy, you know, and I didn't study as much until I realized that accounting is quite difficult. Yeah, so yeah, but managed to get things right. And don't take things easy. I think with my finals, for example, I was very scared of finance, so I over prepared for finance, and I was quite chilled with I think strategy. And so with finance, I got 98, and strategy, I got 88 or something. And that is what led for me to get 92 at the end of the day. So it always matters if you balance your things in preparing for your exams. And that. What was your second question, Zachary?
Second question is, what if you miss your exams? You have an opportunity.
Okay, I can't hear you well.
So the second question is, what if you miss your exam? Do you have an opportunity to retake it, or you'll be awarded 0?
Yeah, well, no, they actually do give you an opportunity, but you have to send your communicate to because they give you all this period. Like I think they give around 2 weeks to complete the whole exam, and then they give you 48 hours to finish it. But if you don't do it on time, you might have to delay your graduation time even, which sucks. So you don't want to do that. So I would say that try to do it when you're given an opportunity. You don't want to have it all in another time and set a different time and lengthen your program. Because I remember that's what they did. I think there was a friend of mine who, he didn't miss his exam, he missed submitting some of his projects. And so when he was supposed to graduate, they told him that, no, if you don't submit at this time, then you're gonna have to wait for your graduation by another 6 months or so. So yeah, always be careful to make sure that you do your work and you prep for your exams. Yeah, missing exams won't help you to redo it and get a better pass. If that's the strategy, just prepare for it well on time.
I got a private question here. I'll ask for them. Do you know anything about deferments? Anytime, like if life is getting in the way and you need to take a break or anything like that, do you know anything about that process?
Yes, you can actually defer. Yeah, like I said, the example that I gave with a friend of mine, he fell sick around the time when he was supposed to do his projects, and he was sick. He had a COVID, and 2 months he was not able to participate in any group work and any of that. So because of all of that and the time that was given, he had to do a deferral and continue on and join another cohorts program at another stage. And they allow him to do that and to end up finishing. Quantic is quite nice in that they don't really expel you. They give you opportunities, but they just won't pass you if you don't do the work. They're not going to give you that level of leniency, but they don't really fail you. They want to give you as much support as possible. Even when you're sort of struggling, they will contact you. I mean, last year, there was a time around December or so, it's quite busy this side with festive seasons and so on. So I was behind in 2 weeks of work and they literally send you a message and ask you, do you want us to give you a call? Is there something you're struggling with? Is there anything we can do to help? And all of that, just to make sure that you catch up with your work. So I would advise that, you know, if you need help, communicate. They are really, really helpful. Yeah, it's actually a full support system, just like in a day-to-day university, which is quite impressive. Yeah, I don't know if there's any other question, but yeah, thanks a lot, everyone.
It's always on Zoom, you always have to give that space of like, you know, some quiet time to see if anyone wants to say anything. But any last questions? So I have one last question for you, then we can wrap up. You asked all of us very enticingly at the beginning, what was our plan for Africa? So I wanted to ask you, what is your plan for Africa?
Oh my goodness, you see, that's the thing. Now I prepared this presentation. I knew I was going to ask you a question, but I didn't ask myself the same question. Well,
and like you said, people don't ask themselves. So
yeah, we never ask ourselves this question. Well, for me, I'll tell you one thing about me. Not one, but I love Africa, right? I always had a big issue with the level of aid we get in Africa and from the West. And the reason is that I felt that the aid was more disabling than enabling, in that it made us so much think that the solutions will have to come from somewhere else, even though they don't make sense to us. And so that bothers me. And so I look at it in a general sphere, and you find that in Africa, we get aid in terms of medication, right? Of health services, we get aid in terms of food and all of that. But funny enough, with all this aid of all of these things, we hardly have some form of aid where they come and actually build these kind of institutions here for us, right? They don't really build the hospitals for us. They say, no, we're gonna come and have a sort of a remote clinic with a tent and have people do the help for you guys. And then, yeah, that's the help, but it's not permanent. It's not something that we own and we can use and we can empower one another. And so I feel deeply in me that one of the things that we can do in improving Africa is to start owning up these different facets of influence: education, health, and construction, infrastructure development, all of that. And we own the development of all of these things ourselves. We own our education. But that thing's not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen only if we, as African leaders or young Africans, engage in our African continent and get involved in what's happening here. And so my biggest desire for Africa right now is that Africa can sort of take the lead in what they call Revolution 4IR, but in an education way. Why? I think we have the largest amount of young people in the whole world. Africa has the largest amount of young people. In fact, when they were doing trends on globalization, they realized that they were starting to get worried that Africa's, in a few years' time, in about 20 years' time, they'll have 30% of the world's population. And that is quite scary because when Black people become too many, well, if we have any war, well, we are too many to lose. So we take over the world. But even when is that? We have this huge rise that is happening now in terms of the business and entertainment and all of that, really in education. Yet we've got so many young people in our continent. And I think if we can sort of use like something like Quantic systems in educating Africa, where African education doesn't become limited to your location, if I can put it that way, where a child in Zimbabwe doesn't struggle to learn simply because Zimbabwe doesn't have the infrastructure to teach them, but that we create online platforms that educate African children from different places who have the potential and the talent, but are just missing out on education because they don't have the places to be educated. And I feel if we can provide such a platform, such a solution, and educate all of us in different places in a very high level way, and not continue with this level of elitism of education where we educate just the very few, the very few people, and which those few people are coming from way advantaged situation and good platforms and good families and all of that. But we say, you know what, we want an African child to get high quality education. We can easily pick up. I mean, we've got UCT, we've got the African Leadership Institute, and we've got all of these great institutions. We've got Cairo University, all of that. And we've got all these big institutions, and we ask ourselves, but why aren't they collaborating to such a extent that we've got this one of number of online platforms that a kid doesn't have to travel to Cape Town to study at UCT or to study information at a UCT grade. I don't know if that makes sense. And I think we're still missing out a lot. I mean, being a person who studies a lot online, isn't it funny how we've got edX, we've got FutureLearn, we've got Coursera and all of that. And most of the stuff that they offer online is free in terms of what you're going to learn, right? Not necessarily the certificates and stuff, but it's free. And the thing is that these institutions are all abroad. It's not necessarily teaching you as Africans how to do or provide solutions to Africans. They're teaching you economics according to Italy. They're teaching you accounting according to the US and all of that. So I think if we can develop a platform that, you know what, we bring our universities to teach African people the stuff that they need to revolutionize their places today in the context of Africa, not with assumptions of things that we don't really have or things that we might have or we may never ever have. I think that could be a start. I'm just thinking, I mean, you are doing ed tech, Chike, so well, there's a platform for you or an opportunity for you.
I'm already on it. I'm not saying I'm going to be the one who does it or does it by myself, but I've definitely been thinking that's actually one of the ideas I have is quantic style education, you know, African-centered quantic style education. It's not for this project, my capstone, but it's something else that's kind of like in the future. That's kind of where I want to go with it. So I definitely agree with you, and it's important, you know, because I think that's how, as you said, having such a large workforce and things like that, that's how you can be able to educate everyone, you know, and not have it be so elitist, as you say. So yeah,
well, I don't know everyone else what's their plan for Africa, but please, if you don't, think about it. Think about it. Just make a plan for Africa, man.
Absolutely. Any last questions for the amazing Amazement? Okay, so
will you make the recording available? I was an hour late.
Absolutely, we'll make it available.
Awesome.
Cool, and thanks for showing up.
Absolutely.
Yes. So no more questions right now. Just wanted to thank Amazement. Yeah, did a great job. A lot of people said they loved it, and it just made me think. I think this is definitely something that Quantic Pan-African Alliance should do again. You know, maybe it's even something, you know, once a quarter or once a month, once every 2 months. Since there's always new cohorts coming in, is, you know, just a great way to kind of help, you know, and be supportive of our own. So yeah, we'll definitely be planning this again. But thank you all for showing up. Thank you, Amazement, for a wonderful talk. Please be on the lookout. I'll be sending out email with the recording and just next steps. I believe Sakari is on the phone, on the line here. He'll be speaking next month. I didn't forget about that. So and we're you know, we're gonna be trying to do a lot more of these, a lot more speaking events. All right. So thank you all for showing up. Thank you, Amazement. And yes, everyone have a great rest of the night, and we shall be in touch again soon.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
All right.
Please, let's connect on LinkedIn where you can.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I put the LinkedIn group earlier in it. I'll try to send it again, but I'll definitely send it with the follow-up email, the LinkedIn group, so everyone can connect there as well. All right. I'm going to, any last questions? I'm gonna disconnect soon. I don't want to disconnect when people have questions. Okay. All right. I'm going to disconnect. Thank you again, Amazement.
All right. Thank you.
All right. All right. You all take care.
All right.
All right.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.